Welcome to Baby Boomer Tales. You can find us at babyboomertales.com. Once you've landed on our webpage, you can visit our Boomers General Store, click the link that puts you into our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, or many places that you can listen to our podcast, Baby Boomer Tales. Thank you for riding along today. My name is Jim. Glad to have you with me. You know, it's going to be spring here pretty soon. This is released on March 12th. So what is that? 8 days, something like that, until spring?
Housekeeping.
Whoa, housekeeping. I did not authorize you guys doing housekeeping today. What do you guys think you're doing? You have to pass that through. I've got a schedule we've got to keep. I'm happy to do it when there's something we agree that there's an item that needs taken care of.
Jim, last week you said there were 3 kinds of peas: canned, frozen, and fresh. But you didn't tell about the pea shooter. Yeah.
Ow! Ow! Will you guys stop that? Ow! Our song of the week is In My Life by the Beatles, written by Lennon and McCartney, John Lennon, Paul McCartney. This great song was on the 1965 album Rubber Soul. The piano bridge in this great song was Bach inspired, but George Martin, who played that little part on the piano, couldn't make it work in the song. So what they did is they recorded it at half speed. What that achieved is when the piano came on then, it was going twice as fast as what they recorded it. And it was an octave higher, made for a great sound right there in that wonderful song. In My Life reached number 9 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 charts, and it is on the Rolling Stone magazine list of 500 greatest songs of all time. This is my very favorite song, bar none. Of all the great music out there, this one touches my heart the very most. There are places I'll remember all my life, but some have changed. In September of 1999, we were building our house, and it came time to move, and during the move, my mother-in-law passed away. That's where I ended Volume 3 of this series, and today's Volume 4, the final volume. And it takes me right from age 49 until today, where I'm age 74, soon to be 75. As soon as we met with the preacher in the hospital, trying to figure out a time and place for my mother-in-law's funeral, as soon as that meeting was over, I gathered all of my family, my brother-in-laws, my sister-in-laws, my daughters, anybody that was there, including the preacher and his wife, and I drafted them into helping us move because we had to be out the next morning. And with my mother-in-law in the hospital, that set us back. And the people we sold our home to would not budge and give us a couple extra days because of this family emergency. So I had no choice. So we went to our house in town there, and there's about 8 or 9 cars, and we filled them up, cars and pickup trucks, filled them all up with all the rest of our worldly possessions that we had not packed up, and we proceeded to move all my life out to the country, about 17 miles from where we were living. It was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I remember going through this one little town, one car after the other, after the other. There were a couple cops standing outside their police cars at a convenience store, and they just watched us. Got to my new house, and we unpacked, and I thanked everybody so much. Everybody was emotionally drained from my mother-in-law passing away just hours before. And I'll always be grateful to those people. We just couldn't put it off. So you do what you have to do in life. There's always something, and you just can't quit. You just got to see it through. And so we began our life out in the country in northeastern Kansas. Well, we moved in. We didn't have garage doors yet. Didn't have what I call a back fence yet. We had one dog. And so I remember the first night I just changed her in the garage and left her. I didn't want her running at night, getting into a skunk. After that, we did let her sleep in the basement for a few nights before we got garage doors. And then she lived in the garage during the night and the great outdoors during the day. She was full of ticks, I remember that. I had never used anything like a tick repellent on my animals before. I'd never had problems. So figured that part out and started putting flea and tick on her. Got some cats to help keep the mice at bay around here. And just turned into a couple of country folks. Bought a tractor. We had a riding lawnmower already because we had owned this place for about a year before we moved into our house. And we had been cutting some grass. I think I'm on my 5th lawnmower now. Every time we bought a new lawn tractor or lawnmower, it was a little bit bigger, and ours today is 60-inch cutting swath, and it's a 0-turn radius, those kind that you push and pull on the handlebars. Makes for a lot quicker job. And when you cut as much grass as I cut, you need something to help you out time-wise. About 2 years after we moved in, we had the great ice storm of 2002, I believe. And we went for a week with no electricity in this house whatsoever. Kept the whole house from freezing up by our fireplace. That was the only source of heat in the whole house. I told myself if we ever had a situation like that again, I'd buy a generator. And we have a generator. Used it once for that. I take it to the barn sometimes and use it, but used it once for when the lights went out. But we didn't have electricity for a week. In fact, after 7 days, we went down to what I call the big town south of us and got a hotel room and took showers. We hadn't had showers for days and days. Got some Kentucky Fried Chicken and watched the Super Bowl. Now, I may have the year wrong, but I don't think I do, and I didn't look it up. But that Super Bowl was the first time I ever heard of or saw Tom Brady. I think he was a rookie or possibly a second-year player, and he took the starting quarterback's place. And I don't think he has sat out a second since then until he retired. Went back home the next morning, and the lights were still out. But I did go to work because they had electricity at my work by then. When I got home that night, the house was warm, the lights were on, the TV was playing, my wife was cooking, and it's just like all that had never happened. Well, I told you we had a dog. Her name was Sandy, and after a couple of years we got a friend for her, named him Homer. Sandy and Homer were quite a couple. I've had some big events with dogs. One time Sandy and Homer got shot by a hunter. Probably a goose hunter. They used to go steal geese from the hunters down at this great big pond about a half mile away from us. Someone had popped them, but it didn't kill them. They lived through it and never went down there again to my knowledge. We also had Sandy fell through the ice one time, and like an idiot, it was, during the winter, and dog was goofing around on the ice, fell through, and I went in after her. After that, we always had the Sandy rule around here. If the pond was frozen over, dogs didn't get to run. They had to either be in the little backyard, what we call the little backyard, which is a fenced part of our yard, or stay in the garage. The Sandy rule. We had some cats, and I've run over some, and some have died, and I've had to put a couple down. But they surely did their job, and by the time old Sandy and Homer had passed away, we had a new puppy we called Maxie, and those cats raised Maxie, and the way Maxie would hunt was a lot like a cat would hunt. Amazing to watch. Well, I had a big war on ticks and fleas around here, but I have learned how to control that on this property, where that's not even an issue anymore. I think the last time I had a tick on me was maybe 10 years ago. That's a good thing. We've had a lot of 4th of July parties out here when we were younger. We haven't had one for probably 15 years now. But for about 10 years in a row, we'd have big 4th of July bash. Maybe 40, 50, 60 people here. I don't know how many. Way too many, shooting fireworks and being out on the water and playing football and all that out here, and it was an amazing thing. I couldn't keep up with that these days. But I work out here all the time. From spring through fall, I'm out there mowing or cutting down trees or lemon trees or weed eating my pond or maintaining the gardens. Now my wife does most of that. So unless there's something heavy that has to be done on the gardens, I let her do that. She does a wonderful job. She's saved and rescued a bunch of daisies and irises and peonies that we originally planted down at the original gardens. What happened was we realized it was too far from the house and too far from a water source. I probably have 1,000 feet of hose around here, but it's just too hard, and we've given that up, and what's ever down there is kind of on its own, except for this one trellis, this little arbor that my daughter Allie got married in front of. We had a nice wedding out here overlooking the gardens and the pond. And now her oldest kid is going to be 18 years old pretty soon. Just amazing to me. Had our 25th anniversary out here. Had to give up golf early on. I couldn't work out here all day and even think of going out playing a round of golf. So that's in my rear view mirror. I have some very good friends that love to play golf. Maybe someday I'll start playing again. But after you haven't played for 25 years, my golf game is probably not very good. It's never great to begin with, but you know what I mean? Tore my bicep living out here. You know, when you show your muscles off, that's your bicep muscle there. Tore it right in half one time. Trying to lift things that I shouldn't be lifting when I was 50 years old, or 55, 60, however old I was. It really hurt and is still torn, I guess. I went to a specialist. He was actually a doctor for the Kansas City Royals pitchers that have arm problems. And he explained to me that eventually I would gain strength in that again, but it'd be from my muscles on the side of my body and not so much my arm. And I haven't noticed any weakness in that arm. He said he could stitch it back together, but it'd just be a cosmetic situation. Well, to this day, when I show my muscle on my right arm, I kind of look like Popeye. Toot toot. It's kind of weird when you live so far away that there's nobody to watch the cats or the dogs for you. Maxie used to go to this one kennel that didn't cost too much, and the lady was very kind and very nice. One time we went to the Middle East, and we're gone about 3 weeks, and we only had one cat left at the time, old Ozzy. And Ozzy stayed in the garage the 3 weeks we were gone. You know, I had several litter boxes for him, lots of water and lots of food. He didn't do without, but when we got home, the guy was crazy. And he stayed crazy for about 3 days. He just would howl and howl. But then he got to be his regular self. That cat lived to be 18 years old. I swear he had 9 lives. He went through stuff and lived through them like nobody's business. just amazing. Well, we have grandkids and they used to be around a lot, but we live a long ways from anywhere, and as the grandkids get older, I guess living out in the sticks isn't that attractive. But they're always welcome, and I'll try not to put them to work too much. We have some great friends, but they're getting older too. Kim and I have been through a lot, things that are wonderful and things that were very challenging. But through it all, her and I have stuck it out and even gotten closer. Actually, in a way, it's not as hard as what brought us to Kansas from Colorado in the first place. Nobody said life would be a bowl of cherries. But there's cherries along the way. That's a fact. So now we're older. I look in the mirror and I see those brown spots on my forehead. I look at my hands and the same type of spots, I guess, are there. I know I'm not as strong as I used to be, and that things seem to take a little longer and I move a little slower. I know that. Thank goodness I found podcasting. So in the wintertime, when I'm stuck in the house more than anything, I have stuff to do. I just have to make a time for it in the summertime when I'm so busy. But one of the funny things about growing older, I think, is you think you're busier than you really are. Maybe that's okay. Maybe we've earned that, if you know what I mean. I seem to get up between 4:30 and 5:30 every morning, but it's not that I lack sleep because I go to bed at 8 or so. Now last night I didn't go to bed till 9:30, but that felt like it was 2 in the morning to me. 8 o'clock's a good time for me. Now I don't just go in and try to sleep. I read and I listen to a little music, and I thank the Lord above for blessing me so very much. You know, He's not really the Lord above. He lives inside me. He's all around me. I pray He comes out through my mouth and through my eyes. He's everywhere I look. He's in the beauty of a child's sigh. He's in the wondrous of a cloud in the sky. He's gentle as a baby chick, and He's as fierce as a lion. And He's so full of love that He's included me. I am truly blessed. I really am. So as I grow older, I will never ever feel like I've been slighted by life in any way. So count it all joy and always be kind. I'll be back next Wednesday. Peace out.